Hello and welcome. The topic for today is 5 things that you should not do when completing the speaking portion of your next IELTS exam. So let's jump right in. On test day, you're probably going to arrive to your testing center, feeling a little bit nervous. For some of you, maybe a little bit excited. Great. You're ready to take the test. But there are some things that you should avoid doing in order to maximize your chance of getting the desired score. So, tip number one, do not just sit there in silence. Don't be silent. This test is designed to assess your ability to use oral English, to speak. And in order for the examiner to give you that fair assessment, he or she needs to hear you speak. So you know a lot of English. Use that English. Talk to them. Talk to the examiner and let them know that you are able to communicate wonderfully using oral English. So now that's related to our second tip. So tip number two, do not talk too little, but you also shouldn't talk too much. There is a spectrum. So talking too little, there's being completely silent. There's talking too little. There's talking just the right amount, and then there's talking too much. For part one, just kind of as a general guideline, you don't need to give a long monologue. Think like 2 or 4 sentences for every question that the examiner asks. For part two, you have up to 2 minutes. Great, use that full time, but remember, 2 minutes, and they will stop you if you go over. And then for part three, maybe 3 to 6 sentences in most cases. Now, try and find that balance. Watch videos, watch mock practice videos before you go to the exam, and practice just responding with 2 to 4 sentences. Like, see what that feels like, so you don't talk too little, but so that you also don't talk too much. Now, for tip number three, the suggestion that we have is don't speak too quickly. Some students might feel tempted to just talk. You feel nervous. You want to get things over with, and so the words start to come out of your mouth very quickly. But you're graded the way your score your speaking ability is assessed is based off your pronunciation, your lexical resource, your grammatical range and accuracy, and then of course your fluency and coherence. If you're speaking too quickly, it's very likely that your score in at least one of those categories is going to go down, maybe even in several of them, if not all of them. So, to promote understandability, to maximize your potential for getting a high score, take a moment, remember to slow down and speak at a normal speed so that they can understand what you're saying and it sounds more natural. Great. Now for tip number four, this is something to not do. Do not use memorized answers. Some students try this and it just never works out. For part one, for those easy questions, yeah, it might be possible to memorize a few answers. Maybe you'll even guess the right topics for the test. But if you're not found out in part one, you certainly will be. By the time part two and part three, by the time the test is finished. If you want to get a good score on the IELTS, you need to try and speak naturally. They need to know that they ask you a question, you respond with your words, with your voice. That will give you the best chance of getting a high score. Don't memorize answers. And tip number five, vary the way. So don't use flat intonation. Do vary the way that you speak. When we speak, we have pauses. We use intonation. We talk to people. We talk in such a way that people can follow our pattern of speech. You want to do the same thing when you take the IELTS exam. The examiner is a person too, and in order to be able to understand you, they need that extra help. They need to hear you, use intonation, uh, the ups and downs, the normal way of speaking. Use that, stress words, use pauses, take normal breaths. Do that, and that will again help you to get a better score. So that's the end of this video, but come back to our channel to watch more. We'll do lots more another day. Take care. Bye-bye.